Ava, thank you so much for coming. I know you work in knitting and crocheting and with beautiful yarns of all types. And I've done a little bit of knitting, not much in crocheting. But how did you decide to start making jewelry?
I like to experiment with different techniques and different fibers and different materials, and I like jewelry. And
I do too.
I like jewelry that's different. So.
Well, let's take a look at your earrings if we could. This is knitting, you said, but this is on wire.
It's knitted with wire.
And gosh, think of all the possibilities with all the different beads and bangles that we could add to that.
Right.
And this beautiful bracelet.
It's knitted with yarn.
With yarn. And as I was telling you, it's awfully hard for me to find watches and bracelets that are the right size. So the beauty of this is you can make it fit.
Whatever size you want.
Well, this is so pretty. And what a great way to use up all those little extra beads. You've got 3 of this one and 2 of that one or whatever.
Yeah, and there's no pattern in the stringing, so it doesn't really...
Everyone's unique. Well, as with every project, you have to have certain supplies. So let's look at some of the basic tools that we need.
These are some of the pliers that you need. This is a needle nose, just a straight needle nose plier. This is a round tip needle nose, which is good for bending wire into circle shapes. And then wire cutters will help save your scissors.
Yes.
And if you're going to work with wire, then you can work with a straight craft wire. If you want, especially when you're getting started, you don't want to go out and buy the real silver.
Expensive.
So just use a craft wire. Make sure, though, that it is non-tarnishing.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
this is a 28 gauge. That's what I've used for these projects. Anything bigger than 28, like 24 or 20 gauge, thicker wire is too thick. Really to bend well.
Cumbersome, I think, with delicate jewelry.
And finer than 28 gauge has a tendency to break.
Oh, okay.
So
28.
These are some colored nylon coated wires. So that's how.
What's your favorite to work with?
Probably just the straight non-tarnishing craft wire.
And these are some of the, I guess, findings that we can find in craft stores.
These are findings. Jewelry findings. These are earring all along the top here, earring pieces. This is a toggle clasp. This is a head pin, which is just a straight pin that has a dull point.
And it's a little longer than most.
Right, and they come in different lengths. This is about a 2-inch length. These are samples of jump rings.
Clasps.
Well, jump rings are what's used to attach the clasp.
Yeah.
Right. This is a dangle that's made with a head pin and beads.
Okay.
You can make an earring just straight out of that if you wanted, or you can attach it to a knitted earring.
Okay, let's take a quick look at some of these others before you show us how to do this. These are all made with wire, and is this the 28 gauge?
This is all the 28 gauge wire
Earrings.
that I've shown you right here.
And then here's a necklace and coordinating earrings on this one.
These are gemstone chips. These two are done with small seed beads. And then these are a combination of seed beads and a little bit larger.
Those are beautiful.
All of these are glass beads or gemstone.
Okay, show us how we would do this.
Okay, the earrings, to start off with, I'm using the colored nylon coated wire.
And just our regular knitting needles.
Your regular knitting needles. You really probably don't want to use your bamboo needles because the wire has a tendency to be hard on the
Would
needles.
kind of scratch them.
Right. So just cast on 9 stitches and knit 1 row. Then on the next row, we're going to start adding our beads. Going to knit the first stitch and slide.
So you've already pre-strung
I've already
beads
pre-strung,
on there,
right.
So that, okay.
And you're going to slide 1 bead down, up next to the
needle.
Stick the needle in the next stitch and knit. Then I'm going to knit a stitch in between.
Oh, one in between. And then another bead.
Slide the next bead up And
on these earrings, are there patterns, or do you just make your own pattern?
there are patterns out there. You can make your own.
Once you've maybe learned the technique,
Right.
you can just experiment.
Right. This is just a simple earring with just using the simple, basic beading technique.
Okay, then let's go ahead and show how to do this. I like these with the bigger beads. Maybe it's because I can see them.
Okay, this is a slightly different technique. It, number one, uses a yarn, and it's also done on double pointed needles. I have started out by doing what's called basic I-cord tubing, which you cast on stitches and then knit, and then instead of turning the work the way you normally would when you're knitting, you just slide it to the other end of the,
that's why there's
the
no,
double pointed
I see.
needle and knit the next row. To start out on the bracelet or the necklace, either one, done both the same techniques, you do 3 rows to start out with. And then on the next row, I'm going to knit 1 stitch. Again,
Add 1 bead.
now, the thing about working with beads, the beads stay on the back of the work when you're knitting them, and on the front of the work when you're purling them.
Okay. Back on knitting and front on purling.
So I want this to be on the side of the work that's facing me. So I'm going to purl the next stitch. Bring my bead up to the needle and purl. And then I'm just going to stay.
Again, you do a stitch in between each of the beads.
I'm doing a stitch in between. That's just the way I came up with the pattern.
And this is a yarn. Is there anything, what type of yarn or anything special about this?
This is a metallic yarn.
Variegated.
Variegated. And then I've just pulled up another stitch. And I'm going.
So again, you can make them as thick.
Right.
The necklace, if it's 2 rows or 3.
Right.
This is another little bracelet.
Right.
Well, thank you so much. For people who really know how to knit and crochet, I think
Okay.
this is great.
I did want to show you one thing, if we've got the time, how to attach the
The findings.
findings. You take a head pin and run it up through the last bead here, and then put on a cap like this.
Like this one.
And then cut your head pin and bend it into a loop and use your jump ring to attach it to the clasp.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to know there's patterns out there. I have to have patterns to do things. Well, thank you very much, Ava. I appreciate it. And your jewelry's beautiful.
Thank you.